science laboratory located in the basement. The lab was state-of-the-art, filled with equipment that she couldn't begin to understand. But something felt off. A section of the wall had a faint outline, as if it could be opened. She pressed her hand against the outline, and to her surprise, the wall slid open, revealing a hidden room. The room was filled with more equipment, but it was the strange symbols drawn on the walls that caught her attention. They matched the ones in the book she'd found earlier. In the center of the room was a large cylindrical chamber, sealed tight. Emily's heart raced as she approached it. Inside, she found a notebook filled with Dr. Belmont's handwriting. It was his research journal, detailing his latest experiments. But the last entry was chilling. "I've gone too far. I can't let anyone find out. The answer lies in the shadows." Chapter 4. The Revelation. Back in her office, Emily pored over the journal. Dr. Belmont had been working on something far more dangerous than a cancer treatment. He had been experimenting with a new drug that could alter human DNA, potentially creating a new species. But the experiments had taken a dark turn, leading to uncontrollable mutations. Emily realized that Dr. Belmont hadn't just disappeared. He had hidden himself away, fearing what he had become. The note, the symbols, the hidden room. It all pointed to one thing. Dr. Belmont was hiding in the shadows, both literally and figuratively. Chapter 5. The Final Confrontation. Emily returned to the Belmont mansion, determined to find Dr. Belmont. She retraced her steps to the hidden room, where she discovered a trapdoor she had missed before. It led to a tunnel that wound deep beneath the mansion. As she descended into the darkness, she could hear faint sounds, labored breathing, footsteps. She followed the sounds until she reached a cavernous chamber. There, in the dim light, she saw him. Dr. Belmont was barely recognizable, his body twisted and deformed by his own experiments. But his eyes, full of desperation and regret, were unmistakably human. "Detective Carter," he rasped, "you shouldn't have come." "Dr. Belmont," Emily said softly, "it's over. Let me help you." But before she could take another step, the ground shook and the chamber began to collapse. Dr. Belmont gave her a sad smile, then turned and fled into the darkness. Emily barely made it out alive as the tunnel caved in behind her, sealing Dr. Belmont's fate. The police would later declare him dead, but Emily knew the truth. Dr. Belmont had vanished, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a mystery that would haunt Ravenswood forever. Epilogue. The case was officially closed, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she had missed something. Late one night, she received a package, no return address. Inside was Dr. Belmont's research journal with a new entry written in his handwriting. "The shadows still hold the answer. One day, someone will find it." Emily closed the journal, a chill running down her spine. The mystery of Dr. Belmont wasn't over. It had just begun.
Chapter 1. The Mysterious Caller. Detective Sarah Blake had seen her fair share of strange cases, but nothing quite like this. It was late on a Friday evening, and she was just about to leave her office when the phone rang. The voice on the other end was shaky and barely above a whisper. "Detective Blake, my name is Anna Whitlock. You need to come to Whitlock Manor immediately. My brother is missing, and I think something terrible has happened." Whitlock Manor was an infamous estate on the outskirts of town, known for its dark history and tales of hauntings. Sarah had heard the stories, but she wasn't one to believe in ghosts. Still, a missing person was serious, and she couldn't ignore the fear in Anna's voice. "I'll be there in 30 minutes, Sarah replied, already grabbing her coat. Chapter 2. The Enigmatic Family. The drive to Whitlock Manor was uneventful, but as Sarah approached the grand old estate, a sense of unease settled over her. The mansion loomed in the distance, its dark silhouette outlined against the moonlit sky. The air was thick with fog, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Anna Whitlock greeted her at the door. She was a young woman in her late 20s, with pale skin and dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted, as if she hadn't slept in days. "My brother, Edward, he's been acting strangely for weeks," Anna began, her voice trembling. "Last night, he vanished without a trace. I've searched the entire house, but I can't find him. And then there's the other thing." "What other thing?" Sarah asked, her curiosity piqued. Anna hesitated, glancing nervously over her shoulder before speaking. "There have been noises, strange noises coming from the old wing of the house. No one's lived there for years, but I've heard footsteps, whispers. I'm scared, Detective. I don't know what to do." Chapter 3. The Forbidden Wing. Sarah's investigation began in Edward's room, which was neat and orderly, almost too perfect. There were no signs of a struggle or forced entry. However, she found a notebook hidden under his pillow. The pages were filled with frantic, incoherent scribbles and sketches of strange symbols. The last entry read, "The shadows are closing in. I must find the key before it's too late." With Anna's permission, Sarah decided to explore the old wing of the house. The entrance was sealed off by a heavy wooden door, which creaked ominously as she pushed it open. The air inside was musty and cold, and the floorboards groaned underfoot. The old wing was a labyrinth of dark, dusty hallways and forgotten rooms. As she ventured deeper, Sarah began to hear the faint sounds Anna had described: soft whispers, the creak of floorboards, and the occasional distant thud. It was as if the house itself was alive, watching her every move. In one of the rooms, she found a peculiar object, a rusted key lying on a table. The key's design matched one of the symbols in Edward's notebook. It felt like a clue, but to what, Sarah wasn't sure. As she pocketed the key, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. Chapter 4. The Hidden Secret. That night, Sarah decided to stay at Whitlock Manor. She felt there was more to this case than a simple disappearance. She sat up in the drawing room, keeping the key and Edward's notebook close. As the hours passed, the house remained eerily quiet, almost too quiet. At midnight, the silence was broken by a series of loud, echoing knocks coming from deep within the old wing. Sarah grabbed her flashlight and followed the sound. The knocks led her to a hidden staircase she hadn't noticed before, descending into the depths of the manor. The stairs ended at a heavy iron door, locked tight. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then used the key she had found earlier. The door creaked open, revealing a small chamber. Inside, she found Edward, huddled in a corner, his eyes wide with fear. "Edward, it's okay. I'm here to help," Sarah said softly, approaching him. But Edward shook his head violently. "You don't understand. The shadows. They're alive. They're everywhere. They won't let me leave. They want the key." Before Sarah could respond, the temperature in the room plummeted, and the shadows in the corners began to shift and writhe as if they had a life of their own. The whispers grew louder, filling the room with an unintelligible chorus. Chapter 5. The Final Escape. Realizing they were in danger, Sarah grabbed Edward's arm and pulled him to his feet. "We need to get out of here now." They raced back up the stairs, the shadows slithering after them like living darkness. The house groaned and creaked as they ran, as if it were trying to trap them within its walls. Just as they reached the entrance to the old wing, the door slammed shut behind them, cutting off the pursuing shadows. Panting and out of breath, they collapsed in the drawing room. Anna rushed in, relieved to see her brother safe. "We need to leave this place," Sarah said firmly. "There's something in this house, something that doesn't want us here." Anna nodded, her face pale. "We can stay with relatives in the city. We should have left a long time ago." As they packed up their belongings, Sarah couldn't help but glance back at the old wing. The house seemed to watch her, its secrets still hidden in the shadows. But she knew better than to stay and uncover them. Epilogue. A few days later, Sarah received a package at her office. It was from Anna, thanking her for saving Edward, and including the rusted key as a keepsake. There was also a note. The house is being demolished next week. Whatever was there, it will be gone for good. But as Sarah held the key in her hand, she felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows of Whitlock Manor weren't gone. They were merely waiting, biding their time for someone else to unlock their dark secrets.